There was nothing about, our relationship that was like anything beyond a friendship. The doors open of the elevator and Chris steps out in a suit.
I love him.
It was like a vision, right? And suddenly I just felt really nervous. So the coffee that was presented to me, I dropped into my lap. The mineral water that I was pouring had the lid on. I was like, and he's going, Mary, the lid's on it. So he
had no idea this was
He had
going
no
on.
idea.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to the elders both past and present. My name's Cam Daddo.
I'm Ali Daddo.
Welcome to Separate Bathrooms. Hey, you've been busy over the past year or so. You've had book tours, your menopause summits, your keynote speaking. You having fun with it?
I am now. I mean, look, I always have had fun. The beginning talks and stuff going out publicly, I was terrified.
Because you didn't know. You'd never done it before.
No, and I really wanted, every time I had an event, I would secretly hope it would get cancelled.
Really?
Yes. But I just want that phone call that says, no, we've shut it down for the day. No, but now I get really excited to go and talk about menopause and talk to people. And it's become something I really, really, really look forward to.
Because you come back from those things and you usually say, I met someone or I had this great conversation. You did one the other day and you said there were two blokes turned up at the end of it.
Yep.
And didn't want to ask questions of you while you're on stage because they didn't want to be outed or whatever they...
They had personal questions about love life and when does it ever come back with a menopausal woman. And it was just so lovely.
Did you leave them with some positivity?
I did.
Well done.
I did. Yes, I said, in your dreams, mate. That's when it comes back. No, I didn't.
Well, see, the thing that I love about, working with a cast or, on a film shoot or in theatre or any kind, wherever I end up, the work is one thing, but it's the surprising thing about what I find is the people that I meet and who I come into contact with. So you've had that.
Well, that brings us to our guest. Yeah. Of course, our guests, plural, the amazing Mary Doube.
Okay.
She approached me, it had to be probably about a year and a half ago, maybe even almost 2 years, at the Wallara Library when I was talking about the book. And
the book is called
Queen Menopause.
Yeah.
And we sort of kept in contact a little bit over Instagram, but about sort of 8 months ago, she approached me with an idea. And we've gotten to know each other. We are going to talk about that idea, the new venture, a little bit further in the podcast. But it has been the most exciting thing to meet Mary and get to know her and be involved in her world.
You said, can we bring Mary in?
Yeah.
And her husband, Chris, not only to highlight what you're doing together, but more so that our listener can be as inspired by her and her story as you are.
Yeah. Her personal transformation is amazing. And look, Chris fell in love with her. You're probably going to fall in love with her as well. Chris has embraced her 3 daughters. It's a second marriage for both of them. And Chris is a real steady force behind Mary's amazing energy and ideas. So I'm pretty sure you're going to love these two. Please welcome Mary and Chris. Mary and Chris, welcome to our bathroom. It's so nice to have you here. I'm so excited.
I'm so happy to be. Can't wait.
I know.
Is this your first time podcasting? Or
First time,
Wow, we're popping Mary's cherry.
I know.
Yeah. There's always something about that term that just feels wrong when you say that. I'm like, oh, especially when you say it to a lady.
Is that a bad thing?
I think it's okay. I think you know what you're really trying
You're a
to say.
classy dude.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah,
That's fine.
All right. Hey, look, we're a relationship podcast. You know that. Let's get some context here. How did you meet?
How did we meet?
We met actually at the gym. We were going to the same gym. We didn't cross paths very often. I would train at different times to Mary, and
Mary was saying, "Can I have those 50-pounders when you're done?" Actually,
Yeah.
you're a wuss. You should be
No
using
doubt.
60.
And we kind of just never crossed. We didn't cross paths a lot, and slowly, we started to kind of train with each other a bit more, and we're at a CrossFit gym, which is really communal. So there's lots of different events and things that go on. So you start to make really good friends in that kind of environment. So
As I progressed, and I was a beginner when I turned up, but the coaches would say to me, "Have you met Chris? Have you met Chris Doube?" And I'd say, "No." And they were like, "He's kind of like the male version of you." And I never understood what that meant.
Do you now?
Well, I do.
What does that
because
mean?
we're so, I don't know. How would you, it's like
well, we're both Leos.
we're
to
both
start.
Leos.
So that's big.
Okay.
Leos.
And I just think the way that we approach just about everything in life is really aligned.
Is that a pun? A lion?
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, nice. You're
Leo,
right.
the lion.
You're on
You're a lion.
fire.
You're on
today,
fire
honey.
today.
So I had the
Cam.
extra coffee.
You did.
Look out.
Yeah,
There's
so the
more to
coaches
come.
saw that in the gym. And they thought, well, obviously they see that to Mary.
Yeah. And it was an absolute friendship, the most incredible friendship.
Yeah, so we had a really tight group of
Yeah.
maybe half a dozen people in the gym.
Yeah.
And things went from there. We were on a retreat that the gym had put on, and they came up with a game as part of this retreat.
Yeah.
And I still remember it. Mary and I got put together with somebody else who I wouldn't even be able to tell you who that person was. And this game was all about winning at any cost.
Any cost. It was
Lying,
about
stealing.
annihilating.
Oh,
It
wow.
was hilarious.
And I guess one of those areas that we align is that we both like to win, and we're both really competitive. So we kind of went to this game and just went, right, this is on.
We were like
Right.
lying and doing
So we
whatever
destroyed
it took.
everybody. there.
Destroy.
We played off each other. So
And was that the point that you both went,
No.
ooh, okay.
No.
Walk us
No.
through the point where you both went, there is something more than friendship then. Do you remember that moment?
well, I think they have been at different moments, to be honest.
Yeah,
Okay.
it did.
Yeah.
For me, Chris and I, from a friendship, became business partners. It was, purely platonic. So I love Chris because he was intelligent. He joined the actual project, and I'll never forget it. He said to me one day, "Right, I need you to come into the city. I need you to stop wearing gym gear." For one, because you're walking into the city.
Right.
So make sure there's no chalk on your forehead and sweat and dirt.
Yeah.
And he
You'll
said,
have to
right,
explain the chalk on the forehead later.
so later.
No,
Well, I'd
I'd
reserved a boardroom to have a chat, right? So you can't come in looking like you just come straight from the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I walk into the foyer, a beautiful foyer in the city, and the doors open of the elevator and Chris steps out in a suit. Now,
I love him.
it was like a vision,
Yeah.
right? I don't know what happened to me, but he went like this and, his name was embossed inside the suit. I don't know, the shiniest black shoes you've ever seen. And suddenly I just felt really nervous. So great friends. There was nothing about, our relationship that was anything beyond a friendship. But honestly, guys, we went from that foyer up, and I was like, what the hell? This guy's quite important, in a corporate sense. Go into the boardroom and I sit down, and no word of a lie, the coffee that was presented to me, I dropped into my lap. The mineral water that I was pouring had the lid on. I was like, and he's going, "Mary, the lid's on it." And I'm going, I had no idea what he was talking about. All I could see was just someone else. I don't know. It was a different Chris.
Yeah.
So he
I had
talked.
no idea this was
He had
going
no
on.
idea. So he spoke for an hour. I had no idea what he was saying. I just wanted to get out of there. So for me, something changed.
Yeah.
But he was none the wiser.
Yeah, right. And for you, Chris, when did you feel it? The it factor.
I just think just over time. I don't think there was any individual moment as such. It was probably just more built over time.
Yeah.
And then I suppose like all relationships, there's just a dynamic that changes
Yeah.
where at some point a light switch kind of gets turned on as I said, Mary was feeling all this stuff, and we've spoken about it obviously since. And like I was just professionally talking about her business, and I got out. I had no idea what she was on about, to be honest.
Who would have known that having your name embossed inside your suit would create create such a volcano inside you? Have you got your name inside your shirt today? Do you
not
flash it open when you feel it?
This is off the shelf. This one.
I did actually say something once. I kind of talked about this energy shift. And he was like, it was almost like I was kind of bringing that to the forefront.
Yeah.
Whereas he was like a bloke.
Yeah.
Like, what did you want answered? Yeah.
Right.
That's the answer.
And I think probably coming back to your original question, I think if Mary hadn't have, done that, I probably just wouldn't have.
Exactly.
The door would probably
Because one day
closed,
I said,
I think.
I'm sorry about this. Like, I know it's a little bit different. He's like, sorry?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
What?
Yeah,
I thought I was just answering this question.
Yeah.
It's like, no, and he went, oh, that.
Yeah.
And I think it was that kind of that door started.
Because you'd had it firmly in the friendship. This is we're working together. That was it.
Absolutely.
But once you opened that door, it was like,
and the coffee's
that's the thing.
being spilled.
Yeah,
and
once
nothing
you
going
open the
anywhere
door,
and-
you can see through it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's probably the best analogy of it.
Yeah,
Mary
that's
opened
so
the door, and then
true.
I could see through the door.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, right.
So through that door, there were also 3 other little people that were at the end of that door.
Yeah.
How did you feel about falling in love with someone and then someone with 3 daughters?
I didn't really know a lot of that.
Yeah,
So I didn't know a lot of Mary's kind of personal background, to be honest, at that point. So, I was vaguely aware, but, at the start of a relationship, I mean, I don't think you sign up that you're going to get married, on the first date in most cases. So you kind of just let things progress.
Yeah,
and they do. And then those things, things build on top of each other.
And how long was that progression for you guys?
I think it started pretty slowly initially, but then kind of like an avalanche came.
Yes.
I would say
it was a wild connection.
So it built. It was originally slow, but then when the switch got turned on for me, like it was like New Year's Eve on Darling Harbour and the fireworks going off.
And what a celebration it was this year.
Yeah. But it was just
colours.
like, it was just when it got turned on for me, it was just
intense.
like an avalanche.
Yeah.
But we did
instant.
have a conversation early on where I said, we're having coffee, and I said, look, I've got 3 children.
Yeah.
And I know this is great. We're so into each other, but there's 3 girls. It's hard work. And I'm older. And he went, how old are you? And I went, I don't know. At the time, it's 3 years older. And he went, what? Is that all? That's fine, Mary.
I couldn't
We
believe
had
that
a
she was worried
beautiful
about
conversation about the kids.
Yeah, about a 3-year age difference. It's just,
Yeah, he was
ludicrous,
like,
right?
what?
I was like, what? Let's just move on from
He
that.
said, just move on from that.
And I guess
please."
on Mary's children, I'd always wanted to have that in my life, and I hadn't had the opportunity for different reasons. So having that opportunity was something I was really looking forward to. And the way that I had spoken to Mary about it was, I've been a leader for most of my life in business, and I really like the idea of being able to kind of lead, if you like, and I kind of do it that way, probably sometimes to a fault.
Oh, geez.
Okay, we need to drill into that.
But be able to influence in a positive way,
Yeah, sure.
3 little kids.
So how old were the kids when you guys got together?
Well, Christiana's 12 now, so she would have been 5, so 7.
7.
And then kind of,
Yeah.
11, 13.
11, and Eleni was going through that
13, 14.
horrible 14.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it. I don't know how Chris did it.
Okay, just on that one, on that bit, how did you, like you had I'm gathering not much experience.
No, 0.
Okay, zero
And,
experience with...
there was not, my family had not had anyone who had kids
Right.
either, so they're like,
Yeah.
I didn't, there was no children
No
around.
nieces,
No
nothing.
cousins. There was a quite tight
were
family.
you hitting how-to parental books and stuff like that? What were you doing? Or was it just on gut instinct?
Just gut instinct. Yeah, I didn't read anything
And
or do
dealing
any
with
research.
girls, that's the
3
hardest.
girls.
The hardest time, well, not just with, girls and boys, we all have our challenges. I think as a dad of girls and a boy, that the hardest part for me was navigating that 14-year-old,
Yeah.
those girls.
Oh, my gosh.
Because there's a meanness or a spitefulness that happens within that. Boys just seem to work it out with a punch on the nose and, you just figure it out on the footy field or playing sports, whatever. But girls, there's a little bit of a more of a deep-seated thing that happens.
Yeah, I came into the firestorm.
You were right into it.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
It's funny because all the three girls are totally different.
Yeah.
And there was never any angst or negativity towards me at all. So I felt really accepted really early on. So there was none of that kind of, the step parent thing that you see in the movie where the step dad coming in is, vilified and a bad guy and all the rest of it. That didn't happen, right? So I was accepted coming in. Yeah, I mean, it was hard just in terms of not so much the way that impacted me, but probably the two of us to a degree. But they were all pretty simple things. Just people, kids not wanting to do what they're told, not coming home when they're meant to come home, all that kind of stuff.
Broken, alcohol.
But nothing bad.
Yeah.
So it was
regular stuff.
It was okay.
Lenny was like
She was
vile.
interesting.
But she's amazing.
She's gorgeous.
It was just
probably-
a time, and so was I at that age. So
And probably for me, I'm like a super protective person, right? So and the person I'm most protective of is Mary.
Yeah.
And in a way that kind of can be put onto the kids, where sometimes I might be trying to protect her from them in a way.
Yeah.
So with Eleni, there was probably a little bit of that where I was trying to look out for her probably a bit too much sometimes. So
I actually quite like if there's a third person in the relationship, in the sense with you, Chris, where you can turn to the child and sometimes it takes that third person to go, hey, look at what you're actually doing here with your mum or your dad. That's not okay. Like sometimes it's that actually helps them wake up, because if you're doing it with Eleni, you just get into fights, you know. But if that other voice can step in and go, no, look at what's going on here. Your mum does not deserve that. Or I think that actually works really well in a parenting world.
it does. And now the outcome coming out of this, when the girls talk about Chris, we navigated it perfectly. Well, not perfectly, but in such a positive way, because Chris is even-tempered.
Yes.
He's quite gentle, but there's this level of he demands respect. So the girls are scared of him, which is great.
Because he wears his suit with his name on
wears
the
his
side.
suit.
He's like, this is my name.
This is
and
him.
you don't
But I
mess
mean,
with me.
They've never heard me raise my voice once.
Never.
Is it fear or is it respect?
I don't know. I think it's a mix.
Yeah.
Because
I just give him a look
I'll say,
sometimes.
move your shoes. Nothing gets done. Chris goes, Christiana, move your shoes. And she just runs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is all your leadership
But
training.
it's in such a positive. I don't know.
I mean, like everything, I think it can also come down to how you look at someone.
Yeah. And the nose flaring
Like if you really
does not
look,
help.
if
A
you look,
nose
Nose
flare.
if you look
Oh,
through
you
can do
somebody,
a controlled nose
He
flare.
does.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you.
I didn't realise it,
Really?
but apparently this is one of the
Yes.
qualities
That's
that Mary likes.
impressive.
You have a nose flare, but that's your poker face is nose flare.
You saw that had
Yeah.
an ear wiggle.
Yeah.
It's not working, Cam. It's
not
not scaring me. It's
Yeah,
not
no,
scaring
no,
me.
no,
It's
no,
not-
no, I don't think
not
it would make you
intimidating me.
laugh. You clown.
No,
Karen.
they
Oh, they
don't. They do not. Your transformation in the last 10 years has been nothing short of incredible. Can you just take us back to when you were kind of at your lowest? If you could share a little bit out of your history and where you came from and what you dug yourself out of.
Yeah. Well, I was a very ambitious, confident, vivacious teenager, and I carried that through to my 20s. And I don't know, guys, life, relationships, children, throw that in layers, all, year after year of child one, child two, you become less of a priority. So you come down on the rank. And I think losing mum and being in a very unhappy marriage, so that was definitely two things. And pressure of work, lost my physicality. So that was the first thing that went. Which
What does that mean, losing your physicality?
Didn't care about what I ate. I drank whatever I wanted to drink, put on 35 kilos. I didn't really care about my physical self. I don't know. I felt awful. So in my body, my back was hurting. And then I started losing confidence. So
And was this because also you mentioned a bad relationship?
Yeah.
That was first marriage, not Chris, obviously.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not being in a happy environment, losing mum, who was my best friend. So I lost her after my second daughter, Mia. Just all of that turned into this awful anxiety. So firstly, it was a physical, like losing myself, losing my confidence, then this terrible anxiety, which just spiraled and became really dark. So
what did that look like?
oh my gosh, Cam, honestly, it was such a dark period of my life where I just felt completely out of control. And like anxiety's scary.
And were you like hiding yourself, just for our listener?
Yeah, I didn't want to leave the house. I couldn't leave the house. I had generalised anxiety.
Okay.
So doing this, being with a friend, being close to anyone was difficult. But I was so good at like hiding it. No one knew about this, hardly anybody. Wow. Great big smile, everything's fine, doing what I have to do for the kids. And it was just a one dark day where it was like I couldn't get out of bed. My back was so sore. I just didn't want to live another day, like seriously that dark. And I don't know, I had this massive visualization. That's where it started. So I'm in bed, it's crisis mode, I don't want to live. And I just see this vision of Mary. And I see her, I really see her. Her hair, the way she moved, what she wore, how she smelt, like it was real.
Are we talking biblical Mary?
No.
Or are we talking you, Mary?
No, it was
in
me.
your future?
It was a really beautiful version of me.
Okay. How great.
It was Aviana. Like it was, we'll talk about this, but it was a strong and powerful woman. It wasn't like a size 6 or it was just, but I saw it and I just said, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm going to wake up today. And I kind of knew how to do it. And I did it. I woke up, I wrote the date down, 16th of December 2015. And I, like a tiger, my pupils went, and nothing was going to stop me.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I started with a rebuild of my body. So that took me a year. But in that, I thought it was a body reconstruct, like
a physical
lose weight,
reconstruction.
You'll feel great. Your hair will improve. But what I ended up doing was becoming so strong inside, which then it kind of translated. So physically I became one of the strongest women around. So I'm a strong woman. So I carry kegs and I throw stones around for a living. And
She's a great goddess.
She throws Chris around.
I throw Chris around. But to do that at 44, what I didn't realise was how inspirational that was for women looking at me, who by that point had given up. I'm 44, I've got 3 kids. It's too late now. I've got high cholesterol, Here I am rebirthing at 44, 45 and becoming Aviana, who we'll talk about, but strong, powerful woman. And then suddenly I was like, right, next is my relationship. I have to do something. I'm not happy. And that was massive, right? To like change that was enormous. And to become fearless like that and vulnerable and put yourself in a situation where, you don't know, it's unknown. With 3 children was scary, but mate, I did it. And I believed in, like I knew I could do it. The resilience was everything.
So we're looking at that Mary that you saw today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How lucky are you, Chris?
Really lucky. I got nothing to work on here now. It's all good.
No, of course, there's a lot that goes with it, but, and I still have moments of anxiety, like I know how to manage it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've shared with me too, Mary, that you never in a million years thought that you would remarry. You thought that was it, done. Yeah.
When Chris and I were great friends, and I recall being in a group and we're talking about marriage, and I said, I would never, I said it to his face, I would never marry again, ever. Why? When you're happy and I'd found my tempo with the girls. I was training. I was teaching CrossFit by that point. I was influencing other women. I loved what I was doing.
Yeah.
So why complicate things?
Why complicate things? But here we are, so happy.
Were you, Chris, aware of this history?
I had absolutely no idea of it, no.
I mean, you did mention that before, that it is an evolution. It's the road you're on and you discover as you go. How was it for you hearing Mary's story, especially with the anxiety and what things were like in her previous marriage?
That came later. That wasn't something that was put on the table.
But how was that when you...
Yeah, so that's hard, right? Because I guess coming back to what I said before about, being a protector, then I kind of go straight into that mode. So, yeah, it's really hard to hear that kind of thing. And it's hard for me to relate to that because I've not had anxiety. I haven't bottomed out, if you like, personally at all. I've been even right the way through, like just super boring in a way, but not.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, being able to be that even is seen as, well, you're lucky or whatever, but it takes work to be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain anxiety.
Yeah,
it's
it is
really
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
If you haven't been through it and if you're not that way inclined, it's, it's this feeling.
You read in a textbook, but it's like, unless you've gone through it, it's like a lot of things you really just don't know, right? And you don't appreciate how bad it can be. So, I mean, Mary's spoken to me about it, but I don't think I really appreciate. I don't know what it feels like to not want to get out of bed at all. I find it really hard to connect to that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to understand, I think.
Yeah.
So how do you connect to that I don't think that you've been like that while you've been with Chris, right?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
So I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Side of Mary.
Yeah, that's another Mary.
Yeah.
That's kind of,
Yeah.
It is. And I'm so grateful for that Mary, that vulnerable Mary.
Yeah, sure.
That dark Mary, helpless, disempowered, because I'm so grateful for who I am now.
Yeah.
And I'm always aware that, it might be different next year. So that's why I work towards a healthy life. And, if we've got issues, we talk about them. I don't harbour things.
Yeah.
I'm very proactive.
Yeah.
One of the things I do see is the resilience that Mary has.
Yeah.
And I think that's been built based on her history. And Mary's the most resilient person that I've met by far, way more resilient than me. Like, things affect me, might take me a day or two to get over them, and she brushes them off in 10 minutes these days. Or, like that way. So
Man flu is real.
Man flu is real. It's bad. It's worse than COVID, I think. My recent version of it was. But you go through things in life, and then you build other characteristics as a result of going through those things. And one of those things that Mary's built is that resilience, which I see kind of all the time.
Yeah.
So it's really impressive.
I agree with you, Chris. That's something that is so magnetic about you, is the resilience and just this never-ending positivity.
Yeah.
Like, I've just never met anyone so positive. It's so infectious as well. Do you see that in your girls? Do you find that they are similar? Do you see that, Chris?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and I absolutely see that.
Yeah,
in
that's
all
so
three.
beautiful.
So, and I think that's where we match as well, because I'm like super positive.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. The glass isn't half full; it's like always full.
Oh,
and
that.
and even hearing one of the things that we kind of disagree on, for example, would be one choice of TV program. Is it Housewives or Married? I don't know. Whatever the one where they yell at each other a lot.
Yeah. Sounds
And
like
like-
Housewives, yeah.
And like Mary can watch that, but just like the yelling just like drills into a nerve in my brain that I just don't
You
like.
can't do it.
I would want to be exposing myself to positive things, and I see that as a negative thing. And that's me. It's not, Mary doesn't view it that way. It's totally,
Just pure entertainment.
it's entertainment.
Yeah,
But I look at
yeah,
that, it's like, oh.
Do you like you've mentioned that you're both super competitive. Is that something that ever causes an issue in the marriage?
I
Like,
don't- you know what?
or is it just
I
more
actually
fun?
don't. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's
weirdly,
great.
I don't think it does. I mean, we probably neither of us likes to admit we're wrong.
I was about,
Yeah.
you
You
have
know,
to
and
tell
Mary-
about the peach.
And Mary. So
Peach.
what? Yeah. So
Peach?
The peach. I have to
Tickle
tell-
that.
no, like
Yeah.
a,
Peach.
no, like
What's
a,
going on there?
well,
No,
is
because
it-
he's right.
Yeah.
He's right a lot.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, but-
it pisses. Can I say that? It pisses me off.
yeah.
Right?
And not just one of the stereotypical like I'm all, but I get things wrong, but
Yeah.
every now
So
and
one
again.
day,
So I went to the fruit bowl and took out
a plum or something.
a-
No, it was a nectarine.
And I was just eating this nectarine. I said to Mary, "This nectarine is absolutely delicious. Where'd you get it from?" She said, turns around and goes, "That's a peach." And then I just went, slow clap. There we go. You got me.
Once.
You got me.
You got me. And I'm like, you
But it was
bastard.
really, but we just both burst out into laughter. It was
I'm like, I
hilarious.
got him.
Finally.
I got him. Finally.
But but I guess we're both right all the time, so I guess that could create a little bit of
No,
conflict
and at
here
the
and
gym,
there,
it's so competitive. Oh, gosh.
Between you guys?
Oh, yeah.
In what
Like
way?
I'll
Is
go,
like
like I can see him behind me and he's like one rep ahead. And I sometimes, I'll skip a rep just to catch up. And he's counting. He knows.
He knows.
And I go, just beat you. And he's like, yeah, you would when you do 13 reps, not 15.
And there was a workout that we did years ago where she'd finished the workout before I did. And I walked over and said, that was, you did that pretty fast. She goes, yeah, it was good. And I said, you did the 20 pull-ups? And she went, yeah, I did them. And I said, really? She said, yeah. Really?
And I went,
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't. Damn you.
It reminds me of the David. Remember the David Beckham? Have you seen the Beckham
Yes.
documentary?
Oh, yes.
And he keeps popping
Tell
his head
the
back in. And it's
truth.
about her driving.
Totally.
And
This
it's
is
like, no, tell
exactly-
the truth.
Yeah.
Tell the truth.
Tell the
That's
truth,
not-
Mary.
It
It's
really-
not
How hard
real.
did your dad drive?
Yeah.
What car? Honestly.
It was
right.
it was really similar, and I'm like a seeker of the truth, right?
He's,
At all times. So I don't put BS into stories and put sprinkles on things. I say it the way it is, right? So if you hear
I'm a
something from
salsa
me,
queen. Like
So-
I can, yeah.
yeah. So
meaning you dance around stuff?
No.
she
I
just
like
makes
to add stuff
she
to
ma-
stories.
she
to
can just
make
make
them fun.
otherwise dull stories seem more interesting. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, well, never let the truth get in the way of the story.
Hey,
But if
come
it's
on.
a story that's
Antithesis
about
for Cameron
me
Dado.
and we're talking
Oh.
to someone else, I'll say, no, it didn't happen.
No.
Oh, what? Are you a bit of a killjoy
Yeah,
here?
he's totally, totally.
You got
I
that
don't
No, he's
Sure, yeah.
honest.
That's that
Just
Fukamaki
so, like-
That didn't happen.
dusting you put on the top of the rice.
Yeah.
It always
blow it
tastes
straight
better
off.
with a little bit of that on there.
Yeah, and I'll blow it
Ted.
straight off and say, look, keep it
See,
real.
this is why you are a CEO.
I
This
know.
is why you are successful at what you do.
But no one tells a more exaggerated story than
Yeah.
my husband. And the funny thing is through the years it gets bigger and more and juicier and more colourful, and that we always laugh.
Wait for the book.
The kids and I always laugh because Cam will actually insert himself into stories that he wasn't even there. And we'll look at each other and go, honey, you weren't there. Yeah, I was.
But I really wanted to be.
Yeah.
No, you weren't
Yeah.
there, but you're telling it like you were. And then he'll think about it and go, oh, yeah, I wasn't there. It's just like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I
what?
cast myself in Mission Impossible. I was Maverick.
Absolutely.
I was Maverick.
I thought I saw you in that.
Well, you know, Cam, it's one of my favourite lines in television history is out of I Love Seinfeld. And there's an episode where George just says, it's not a lie if you believe it.
That's right.
Hey,
That's
I
right.
think I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And you can say it came from you. You thought it.
That's right. You can just-
It's not a lie if you believe it. With George Costanza on the back.
Yeah,
of
that's
his
right.
face. Tell us about Aviana.
I'm glad I touched on the dark moment because there was a moment there when and of course, Ali, you chose the name Aviana, but I needed to be Aviana at that moment. So I needed something that gave me everything I needed to find myself again. And, we've now articulated it and we've created the platform.
So Aviana is
a strong and powerful woman.
great.
Right? And it's a platform where women come who are, going through transition, menopause, but anyone over 40, it's all hormones, right? So for anyone that needs guidance, support, a way. So what I did was that journey to health, I documented and it took a few iterations, but a year later, I developed Strong Formula, which is now the Aviana Wellness Program. So it's renamed. So it is a step-by-step way to go from here to here. If you're feeling, if you're symptomatic, all those symptoms, and feeling like you need to improve your nutrition, your sleep, your mood, so fatigue, here it is. There's lots of pillars under the Aviana platform. One is that wellness platform. The second is our beautiful shop and telehealth coming and that fabulous rewards program. But I think the essence of Aviana was really just to bring a solution to women who need us, who are going through that phase in life.
You mentioned telehealth is coming. What is telehealth?
So telehealth is a service, a doctor service, and it extends to a hotline, which we're creating really soon. So a menopause-focused hotline. Doctors in the space of HRT, or now called MRT, MHT. Yep. And allied services, so psychologists and nutritionists. So soon we'll have that service available to women, and they can talk to a doctor from wherever they are in Australia and beyond. I
was going to say that sounds great for people in rural areas that who don't have access to that kind of expertise. Amazing.
So when I met Ali, I bought her book. I'd seen her spreading the word about menopause and her story, and I love that she has her own personal story, which kind of was parallel to mine.
Yeah, that's right.
And when I met you, it was just that beautiful energy that I connected with. And, I manifested this idea of us working together. I had one thing ready, the one pillar, and then we created the others and created the beautiful Aviana platform.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing so far.
And you're dragging your husbands along with you.
Yes.
Chris has been involved in a lot of ways, actually. He's been a sounding board in so many ways. And it's so great because Mary will be showing me something and she'll go, yeah, Chris has done this and Chris had a look at that and everything. I was like, yeah, that's really good. I was like, Chris is good at this stuff. So he's got the real business mind.
Yeah.
Good on you,
Mary's got.
Good on you.
Are you mocking?
Yeah, no. You're only saying this because I have done bugger all for you. That's
not true.
That's not true.
That you have been my cheerleader since day one, and that's what I've needed.
Got my pom-poms
and you've been so
skirt.
Excited for me. So that is not true.
That's true. Well, it is true.
Yeah.
I'll do a little dance for you.
Well, you just got to flare those nostrils.
I've got to learn how to flare my nostrils.
But yeah, Chris has been a great business brain with
amazing.
Where Mary's had the woo vision.
Yeah, I'm the visionary.
He's
that doesn't work.
And slow and steady.
What?
No, slow
what do you
and
mean
steady.
it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's great.
And it's so funny because you probably know this already, but we'll have meetings and Mary will go, yeah, Chris told me that da-da-da-da. And she goes, oh, God, and he's right.
Sometimes it takes 6 months
for it to realise that
come
you're
around
right.
and I remember,
Yeah.
I think I said that 6 months ago. But it's funny, when one of the in a way, COVID has been good for the two of us to work to a degree because, you're at home more, right? I mean, we've gone from working in the office 5 days a week to being there, say, 3 days a week, home 2 days a week. So Mary will be upstairs and will just yell down to me while I'm doing my normal job and say, what do you think about this? And I'll say, I think this. One of the challenges I think that we've had, where Mary can get frustrated at me is that when I'm in my work zone, my work brain, she'll come to me with a problem or something to think about and I'll respond to her in my work zone way, not in a way that she's my wife.
Yeah. Right.
So she'll come to me with just some gobbledygook and it's like, what are you wasting my time doing? You just give me this. Why? You just go.
It's like, the chair swivels, sit down on the couch and I'm there like, and he says that you've got 9 minutes. And I go, okay, so this brand, no.
Well, I've said to her a few times,
go, what do you mean no?
This conversation's wasting
no?
my time.
Yeah, and he's like, no, come back to me when you've got, what's the actual question?
Yeah.
I'm like,
what's your point?
Okay.
Yeah. You're interrupting me for this?
Yeah, like,
have a point.
Come back
Talk to my secretary and get another appointment later on.
I don't know if it's hard. It's hard for me to transition mentally from your day job to then being asked a business-related question, but a business-related question that your wife is asking you.
Yeah, sure.
And I answer still as if she's, and I guess there's some positive with this is that when Mary comes to me, I try to talk to her as if I'm a shareholder, as opposed to a husband, right? Because as someone who's helped get this business through financially, I'm putting the money in, so I want some accountability, right?
Yeah,
I want some answers.
It's great practice. I think it's a really good practice. A question for you, mate: did your dad have a business tone or a telephone voice or something?
No.
No? So I'm asking you that because my dad did.
Yeah, no.
And when my dad used to pick up the phone, he'd have Peter Dado speaking. And we knew, shut the hell up. Dad's on business mode, right? It was very clear. And I think I have that. I got it through osmosis that it was like, yeah, you've got the serious voice on now.
Yeah. I think, no, I mean, I didn't have exposure to that. I mean, my dad's been out of my life since I was 21, so I didn't really have much exposure to him at all as an adult, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, when I was 6 or 7, I was in the Cubs and the Scouts.
I was too. Okay, well, we'll do our best.
Yeah, and I was, I remember, and our scout leader at the time was an ex-Australian commando.
Oh, wow.
So, when there's this view of what Scouts is and it's a bit soft or whatever, like our scout crew was hardcore.
It was SAS.
There was stuff that, like, you wouldn't be able to do. So we would go on hikes in the middle of nowhere, up, like, just really full-on stuff.
Yeah.
And, when I was, 7 or 8, 9 years old, I was taking 4 or 5, slightly younger kids, because I was kind of normally about 6 or 12 months older, out into the bush looking after them when I was like, 9 years old.
Wow.
In the middle of nowhere. So
wow, that's amazing training.
That I've learnt that from a really early age. And I think when you talk about leadership, it's one of those things you can improve, but I truly believe that you're born with it. You're a leader or you're not, I think. I think if you're on the fringe, you can study and you can, improve yourself, whatever. But I think generally people are really born with that innate skill. And I think that I was born with that, and I've just led the entire time. And I couldn't bear the idea of being a follower. Like, it just...
Is there anything that you ever ask Mary's advice for that you ever find yourself needing?
He's so self-sufficient. So self-sufficient.
Said deadpan.
Seriously, no. Like, didn't have to think about it.
No.
Wow.
And, like, I think part of the reason for that is I really do like to keep my day job separate from my personal life. I don't like to talk about work when I'm out of hours. And, Mary will, we had a few little, run-ins on this in the past where, Mary would get into bed, ready to go to sleep, and Mary would, ask me about how the work day was.
How was your day today? And he's like, sorry?
I'm trying to switch off here, right? And I'm good at being able to switch certain things off. But then Mary would say, well, how was that meeting today? It's like, why are you reminding me of this meeting at 11 o'clock? I'm trying to go to sleep. Like, I don't want to. Now you've got it in my head. Now it's going to take me an hour to get that out of there. Like, I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
So in answering your question, in a way, I try to keep, the two things very separate. To kind of try to isolate as much as possible.
These are the ground rules of each individual relationship too, and no one's has the same one.
No.
And you lay it out, go, I don't want to talk about business. Ali will say that. Al will say at night time, don't talk to me. Basically, I know that she comes into the bedroom, the light's on, and she wants to read. And then it's like, I'll go, and I'll kind of do what Mary does. And I go, what's going on? And she go, oh, God, honey, I'm winding down.
I'm trying to wind down to sleep mode.
Because her head goes, and she's written about it in the book, about her thoughts just won't settle. So I know.
Yeah.
And that was after like 15, 20 years of marriage. That kicked in. So it was an evolutionary thing. It's always moving. It's dynamic. It's
and look, I've got
nice catch.
It's wonderfully frustrating.
I get it though. I have a lot of stressful things in my job, and I try to quarantine those away. So coming to what you're doing, you wind down by reading a book, and everyone will do that in a different way. Do that in my way, and once you're in wind down phase, that's what you're in.
Yeah.
So the idea that someone's going to start unwinding that, is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I saw the funniest meme. It made me think of you and I on Instagram the other day, and it was a woman and a man in bed, and she was reading a book and he was lying there with his eyes open. And he said, my wife's favourite game in the bedroom is she's the sexy librarian and I'm the student that's not allowed to talk. And I was like, that's my favourite game. I think that works for me.
It's so true. It's so true. It's so true. It's painful.
Oh, my goodness.
We do a 2-minute shower. Mary, you obviously know what it is. Chris, so we're obviously in the bathroom, metaphorical, of course.
Don't get me started on the bathroom.
No. All right. Twin sink. Have you got separate? Do you have separate bathrooms?
No.
You have same bath. You have separate sinks?
No.
Do you have your own sink?
No.
Oh, you jostle over the
We
tap
jostle,
for
yeah.
the
Oh, we don't jostle.
He takes
Okay,
over.
you're
Leadership.
right.
It's my time.
Mary, I'm right. Get out of the way. Let me clean my teeth. All right. So anyway, we conserve water in this shower, so keep your answers short. What's the most adorable habit you love about each other?
Adorable.
Gosh, this is okay. Adorable habit.
Or
You know
annoying?
what? Okay, you know one thing that Mary does. She's got this mug at home, right? Which has kind of got a big love heart, which is just white. And this mug came with a pen, and she'll come over and make me, a cup of tea at night, and then she'll write like a note on this cup. Oh, that's adorable.
That's adorable.
Yeah,
That's pretty
love
adorable, yeah.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Your turn, Mary.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Just the order in the house. Like, it used to really piss me off, but now I see the shoes all lined up and I just go, this is so Chris.
Do they go from
Yeah.
like tan?
Yeah,
to
they
brown?
do. It's colour coded.
Oh,
blue
nah,
to
that's
You know,
this is that.
Come on.
This is the
this is
sprinkle she was
South Side.
talking about.
This is the
This
sprinkles.
is like,
Yeah,
That's the Fukumaki.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's not.
is there a favourite moment you would love to relive with each other?
There's heaps, and I think we try to relive them all the time. But if I looked at a specific moment, the holidays that we've had and the traveling that we've done together, I think would be the top end of the scale. So we talk a lot about traveling and adventures, and Mary has this Greek word, I think it's a phrase called peripeties, which is a phrase that her mum used a lot, which I think is
It's adventures.
Adventures.
My interpretation is adventures.
So we like and
We like Betty
we like
Betty's.
going on adventures. So one specifically, we were in Santorini a few years ago at a really nice hotel with a view looking over the caldera, which was awe-inspiring. So I'd love to get back there and relive that because that moment was just out of body.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Chris proposing was one of the most incredible moments. I was just so shocked when he got on one knee in Piedmont. And I said to him, what are you doing? I had no idea why it was dinner. And he just said, I was chatting about, would you live in Piedmont? Blah, 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 blah. Turn around, he's on one knee and he just said, Mary, I want you to be my wife.
Oh,
I love you so much. Will you marry me? And if I could relive that.
And it was a longer, more expansive version. Than
It
that.
was, but
yeah.
that's the short.
Yeah.
What a magical moment,
beautiful.
which extended into a beautiful dinner, which I can't remember. So, it was just overwhelming.
And then here you are.
I know.
Both of you. One word to describe each other.
Fierce.
Dedicated. Very dedicated.
Nice.
Mary and Chris, thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
It's
For joining us
amazing.
today.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you so,
So
much. Our
And-
two Leos.
Yeah, and good luck with the venture with Aviana.
Yeah.
We'll put all that in the show notes.
We've got lots of
We've got
ideas.
lots of things
We've got
going on,
lots
don't
of
we,
things.
Ellie?
It's only
Yeah.
going to get, more interactive and fuller and more supportive as we go along. So
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great couple story.
I know. Yeah, having spent so much time now with Mary and hearing the fullness of her history, it's amazing. She is a phenomenal woman. When I say Greek goddess, she really is the epitome of a Greek goddess to me. The strength in her for what she's overcome.
There's a great story in that. You okay?
Yeah.
Crying? No. When you said, strength, she's like one of the strongest women in Australia.
Yeah.
I was like, huh? And then realised that she actually, she's seriously one of the strongest women in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. Her dad was a Greek wrestler. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He was, who was he? He was something, he wasn't Mario Milano.
No, but he knew him, didn't he?
He knew
or
Mario
something?
Milano. So,
Yeah.
so listener, this is back in the 70s. World Championship Wrestling was on Channel 9, and it was my favourite show. And there was Brute Bernard, Mario Milano.
I don't know any of this.
Yeah, there was all
Never heard of
all
them.
these great wrestlers, and then there was Spiros Orion, and they would always talk to the Greek people and the Italian people in the audience.
Passionate.
in their
Passionate.
in their victory speech. They would
Yeah.
speak in their native language. Mary's dad was one of these wrestlers. And it was in the heyday. Well, I mean, I guess today's like it's gone to a whole nother level, of course. But what I was saying was physically strong, yes. Emotionally strong,
Yes.
spiritually strong,
Yeah.
You know,
and like Chris said, very resilient.
yes,
Yeah.
And then Chris is Mr. Smooth, even calm,
just cuts through.
yeah.
Cuts through.
Which is great for especially with creative people to have someone who can cut through,
Yes.
and keep the creative one on track,
Yes.
to finish stuff. It's very helpful.
I think we're just both all over the place creative.
No, I was going to say you're probably more. It depends on the situation what we're doing. So sometimes I can be the guy that cuts through. Other times I'm creative whackhead.
Yeah.
And I think probably more often than not you are cutting straight through. But then you have these creative explosions as well.
Yeah. Like getting a third dog.
Not going to happen.
I know.
Not going to happen. We'll talk about that later in the next installment of Separate Bathrooms. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for listening.